Hey folks, I think we are live on YouTube and on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Uh, Welcome to this live stream, which is going to be talking about low-level design. And this is, just to clarify, this is system design, low-level design. A lot of you might have heard of, system design round where you have some sort of coding to be done or some sort of planning of how the code is going to be written. So that's what a low-level design means. In fact, throughout this live stream, we will be taking an example to understand what low-level design rounds are like. And hopefully, by the end of this session, this is the agenda. We'll know what low-level design rounds are like. A system design low-level design round is like. And also we'll know some of the common things that we should or shouldn't do in such a round. Okay, so the intent, the target audience for this is SD1 to maybe SD3. Okay, and software engineers only. If you are a product manager or a technical program manager, or someone who's not in the engineering space, this round is not very relevant to you. Okay, so let's wait for the first 3 minutes for questions to come in. I will just share this link with you. This is the Slido link. If you have any questions, please post it here. And I will answer them to the best of my abilities. Do not ask questions on the chat. You can ask questions on the chat here, but I may not be reading them, right? I'm reading the Slido link. The benefit of Slido is that if you have any questions and somebody else also has the same questions, they can upvote it. So it comes up on top. I can take polls over there. I can make it far more interactive through Slido. So please go to the link and start using that. Good day from Nigeria. Hi, Effie. Good day to you too. Shubham, need a discount coupon for course. Okay. I will give you a good discount coupon. Which one should I give you? Okay, I'll give you a really good one, which I probably shouldn't. But yeah, okay, I never broadcast this. But I'll share this with you. Yeah, that's discount coupon, which is going to give you the best discount out there. So yeah, just because you're live. These are the benefits. By the way, those of you who are thinking what discount is this is the InterviewReady website. You can go to this website called Get InterviewReady, and there's a system design course there. So you can actually use this coupon code for that. It's a system design course with high-level design, low-level design, fundamentals of system design, and then we have Zoom classes also once every 2 weeks approximately. Good day from Germany. Hey Rajat, good day. And I just want $1 million, Ajay Jha. Okay, that's reasonable. Good morning, Gaurav from USA. Gautami, thank you. Good morning. So I'm super happy that you're tuned in from all around the world. Thank you for this. Any resource for low-level design using C++? I'm not sure if there is a resource for system design using C++. There is one website which is quite nice, and I'll share it with you. It's Refactoring Guru. I actually found the design patterns being used here quite nice. Okay, so for low-level design, I think if you're looking for prerequisites to understand how some code will be written in an interview, Refactoring Guru is quite good. I don't know who has written this, the author. I think there will be something in the about or the contact us, but he's actually quite good, or she's quite good. This is in rupees or dollars, Gautami. So in rupees, I can show you what the price is. It is 3,999, but if you use the discount coupon, then yeah, there's like 25% off for the student 25 discount coupon code. You can also, if you're purchasing from the US, then that is $60, which roughly comes out to be 4,000 rupees. Main reason that it's slightly higher is because an international transfer has a little bit of delta, so that's basically added on top of the price. But yeah, the discount coupon will give you the same percentage off. So $60 will turn into, I think, 25% off. That will be, I think, 45. Okay. Refactoring Guru, pretty good resource. Every time I learn something new over here, I really like your videos on system design. Thank you. Keep it going. Thank you, LinkedIn user. I can't see you here on StreamYard, but thank you for that. Thank you, GKCS, for the resource. I'm looking into it. Okay, perfect. Dhanesh, for those of you who are wondering, Refactoring Guru is actually a pretty good resource that I would suggest. Okay, we can start now. I'll just go to the Slido link to see if there's any interesting question. Let me actually share this with you, the screen with you. So this is going to be shared. Okay. What we are going to do is, for the first 7 minutes, I will take questions. Okay, so the top questions, please feel free to upvote them. After that, what I'll do is I'll take an example of low-level design and we'll try to solve it. So most of your questions will be answered that way. Okay, so let me also open the admin Slido link so that I can, answer and then mark them as done. The most voted question is, can I do LLD questions in C++ as I have zero knowledge about Java? Yes, you can. Absolutely. C++ is an object-oriented language. You can use C++ for your LLD interviews. How are you going to get a resource for C++? I don't know. But if you are familiar with C++ and you see the Java examples, then also I think you will be able to answer them. Most of the principles in low-level design are basically language agnostic. So you have design patterns, which is language agnostic. You have certain principles in object-oriented programming which are true across languages. So threads. If you're creating an object in many different ways, then maybe you have a factory. If you have a complex object creation, maybe you're going for a builder pattern. If you have an object or if you have something that has to be seen by a lot of objects and then picked up by the right objects, maybe the visitor pattern will help you here. Publisher subscriber is another way. So that's how you go about solving these kinds of problems. So that's one. Do you ever write code in production in a similar manner in which you write code in an LLD interview? LLD interview is a interview, right? So you have like 45 minutes or 1.5 hours. In production, you have a lot more time to think through things. You also write test cases, which you don't write in an LLD interview. Like you do, but you write very basic test cases. And you're basically trying to impress the interviewer instead of writing code, which will work. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Machine coding is the same as low-level design. Actually, they're slightly different. Machine coding is a lot more real life, I will say. Machine coding is more about one engineering problem that you're trying to solve. That's the reason why it's so close to real life. Because if someone says, do the low-level design of Zomato, it's a joke. It's just a toy problem. No, it actually doesn't mean anything. Like low-level design of Zomato, what do you mean by that? But if you say design a cache, or design an event bus, or design a load balancer, okay, you will at least come up with something which makes some sense. Like a load balancer has certain algorithms like consistent hashing, or you might have a round robin algorithm. I have this link over here, which I've used myself for low-level design. So just go through this link. This is useful. Okay, I'll just show it over here. You can head to github.com, InterviewReady, low-level design. This is a public repository. It has 4 examples of machine coding. Okay, rate limiter, service orchestrator. This is kind of like a load balancer also. Event bus and cache. Okay, I'll take an example. Let's say I go to service orchestrator. I go to the code. Now you see there are certain algorithms here. This is the main file, I think. There are models also, like you have a node, you have requests, you have services, and then you have algorithms like consistent hashing, uh, weighted round robin, so on. So it's a useful repo. I would definitely recommend you to go through this if you're looking at machine coding. Okay, a most voted question is LLD about creating schema diagrams of the database or writing OOPS-based class models, working code, or discussing APIs, classes, and the database in general? I'll tell you the intent of a low-level design round. The intent of a low-level design round is to test you on your coding skills to some extent, and also to test you on your software design skills. Okay, not on your distributed systems design skills. That is high-level design, where you think about how are different components or different services going to interact with each other. That is at a higher level. So you're basically using multiple services and you're thinking of functional requirements and everything. Here, in a low-level design round, you're being tested for, is this person hands-on with coding? Does this person think about common engineering criteria like throughput, latency, testability? Let's say if the code is written badly and it can't be tested, that's bad. Is the code extensible? Scale is not something that we are looking too much into a low-level design round. You're looking at code maintenance and code quality. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what are the things that you would like to keep in a low-level design round? Database schema? No. Class models? Most likely yes, because that helps you design the objects and the classes and the interactions well. So keep that in mind. You are looking for a person who can write good code, similar to how they would do in the real world. So they would design the classes, they would write the code, and this code would survive a pull request. You can take it like that, that the ideal interview, LLD interview, will be a place where you write code and it will survive a pull request. It will be accepted, basically. Okay. How to start with LLD from scratch? I'm an iOS dev with 5 years of experience and I want to transition to backend development. Okay. So, you're an iOS dev with 5 years of experience. In your current job, when you write code and you ask it to be merged in the repo, if there is oversight, if there is somebody who's reviewing the code and telling you whether it is of good quality or bad quality, that's a good place to start. Okay, why am I saying that? Because there are certain engineering principles that you learn in any language. As an iOS dev, as a C++ dev, as a Python dev, naming is one thing. Like I'm telling you very basic things. Naming, if you have the same code being written in multiple places, maybe you want to put it in one function and get it called by multiple people. So I'm just telling you the basics are also important, are usually caught in pull requests. Low-level design, if you're looking for good theoretical knowledge, then maybe design patterns is some place you can start. Again, Refactoring Guru is a good place to start with for that. So I'll again point you to that link here. Where's Refactoring Guru? Yeah, here. What is this? Is this going to make you a good low-level design, or is this going to make you a good software engineer? No. But it will give you the theoretical knowledge, which is like 20% of what you need to become a good software engineer. You need this. Otherwise, you can discover it yourself, but it's much better to just learn the theory when you have a chance. Okay. That's how I would suggest you start off from scratch. And then you see that these patterns are being applied in your current job, or being applied in any project that you're working on, or in the interview questions which are coming up. So then you start applying them. Low-level system design, it comes under system architecture design. Is it comes under system architecture design? No, I won't say so. Low-level design is actually completely different from high-level design, in my opinion. High-level design is about how do you take different components of a system and make them work together. You are primarily focused on the interactions of these systems, while low-level design is much more focused on the code that you write, making sure that the code is maintainable, high quality, readable is basically what I'm saying. And then how are these classes going to talk to each other? How are you going to write code which is easy to understand? Okay, that's the basic idea. So they're different. Jalaram Suthar is asking, LLD is to choose the right technology stack or its architecture design without thinking of technologies. It's not about choosing the right technology stack. Okay, you can write the code in any language that you like. Yeah. Jishnu is asking, how do I practice things like load balancing, scaling? I'm learning these things theoretically, and it will be really helpful if I can practice these hands-on. Okay, one of the things you can do is you can create your own website. It won't cost you much. In fact, I think it will cost you 99 rupees if you go to GoDaddy and choose some, like, obviously you don't want systemsdesign.com, right? It's going to be pretty expensive. Go for some other website, and then try to start it. Try to see what are the things that you need. Like, you will be surprised by the number of things and the quality of things that you learn when you just have a website, right? You need a DNS, so that's taken care of. Okay, then let's say you go to AWS and you say that please ask that DNS to point over here. So that is also interesting. Yeah, I would suggest start with your own website. If you're looking to just start learning about load balancing, about scaling, you won't learn here, but you learn a lot of the infrastructure principles that are there when it comes to any website or any startup. That itself will help you. Scaling is all, like, unless you're working at a company where there's a lot of data, it's all theoretical. And even if I may say so, in the sought after product based companies, many times the role is not about scale. Many times the role is about just getting things done. Okay. Is it actually possible to write the, okay, somebody else got upvoted for, we have, oh, I already exceeded the time. Okay, I'll just take this last question. For 5-year experience guy, how much system design required for man? This is not a very good question. Is it actually possible to write the entire code with good class design, taking care of all solid principles, patterns, do TC matter in LLD interviews? Okay, no. It is possible, I guess, but I personally can't do it. So maybe I'm projecting, but the intent of the interview is to find out whether this person is good enough when it comes to software architecture, and when it comes to, when this person joins the team, they're not going to write code which is horrible. They're going to write code which is okay. They have the right principles when they're thinking through their problem. So that's what we are trying to find out. Okay, yeah, just to clarify, this is the Slido link. I'll again share it with you here. Please feel free to post your questions here. Okay. How to know whether interview is expecting LLD or HLD? Answer for asked question. Just ask them. Do not waste your time and their time by assuming things. In fact, you will fail the interview because you assumed it. So, is it actually possible to write the entire code with good class? Yeah, I have already answered this. Is there any website or application platform to practice LLD problems? Practice, no. But at InterviewReady, it is a website which will teach you, especially machine coding rounds. Okay, if I go to course, yeah, low level design is right here. Okay. So this is one sample of a low level design problem. You can have a look at that over here. Student 25 is not working. How very interesting. Okay, let me just check whether we have disabled the Shouldn't have, no? Okay, let me just check. Sorry for that. Sending you on a wild goose chase. Okay, this will be the last question, by the way. Let me try, or I'll give you the other coupon which is working really well. Okay, it's just for you guys again. This is true. This should work. So where am I? Welcome, 25. Okay, so that takes care of this. Is Web3 changing convention? What? No, that makes no sense. I am having issues starting with microservices. Please guide me. Just go through these free resources that I have here, right? In this, you have some parts where we talk about microservices in detail. Monoliths to microservices, how to migrate also. But before that, we have it in the basics chapter. Monoliths versus microservices. So go through this. Okay, let's start with the example. I have been keeping you guys on hold for a while. Okay, now the example that we are going to take is that of a chess engine. So it's you have to design a chess app, okay, low-level design. So what this means is I'm not looking at scale. I'm not looking at how are you going to send the chess object through the wire. I'm basically looking at make an app which can play chess. You see the difference between high-level design and low-level design? High-level design would be something like this. Over here, the high-level design of chess is already there. Requirements of a chess website. You would have, how would you handle so many connections at scale when it comes to a chess website? Would you choose consistent hashing, or would you choose sharding? Then there's like if a box goes down, then how are you going to handle that thundering herd? So many connections are being broken at the same time. What kind of connection will you use? There's request batching. I think there's some tricks that have been applied here. And then there's capacity planning, API contracts, stuff that you need to do in a high-level design for chess. Okay, that would be high-level design. I'm talking about the low-level design. Okay, the low-level design is basically I need to write an app which can play chess. Very different from what is out there. Okay. Any comments on that? Any thoughts? Any doubts? Okay. If you have none, then let's just jump to the code, right? This is a bad idea. Jumping to the code just like that is a really bad idea. So don't do that. Whenever there's a low-level design problem, right, I often see this happening. People open their code editor and they start coding, or they start writing down the requirements like this. That okay, fine. First requirement is I'm going to have a pawn, and then the pieces should be able to move. Don't do that. Let's not jump in there. I would suggest you start thinking, and for thinking, drawing is a good tool. Okay, so let's go through this. What happens? What are the pieces that are there in chess? You have a pawn, you have a queen, you have a king, you have a knight. What else do you have? You have a rook, you have a bishop. I think that's it. Okay, so these are the objects that we have. What are the behaviors that these objects have? A pawn can move forward. It can also capture diagonally forward. It cannot move backwards. Okay, so there's something like move for a pawn, and it has certain behaviors when it comes to moving. So it probably moves to a destination square, and the validation is which square am I at? Can I move to this square? Okay, so the other thing that it can do is it can capture. What else? there's something special about a pawn. One is it can make a double move. So this happens only once. A pawn can make a double move on the first square, on its starting square. Okay, double move does not mean it moves twice. It just moves ahead by 2 squares. Okay, what else? Now, some of you who have never played chess might go. In fact, let me take a poll for that. How many of you have played chess? How many of you know the rules of chess or are confident about the rules of chess? Okay. Yes. I know. Okay, I'll just launch this. Again, guys, if you don't have the Slido link and here's the Slido link, I would strongly suggest that you participate because it's going to help you. Just 8 people have voted till now. What's going on? Okay, 18 people have voted. 120 of us are watching on just YouTube. So please go to the Slido link and let me know, because otherwise, depending on your response, I'll be teaching based on that. Okay, 80% of us out of the 40 who have voted know about the rules of chess. So I'll assume you all know the rules of chess. Okay, I'll assume that most of you know the rules of chess. If you don't, nothing to worry about. This is not to test your chess knowledge. This problem is to test your software architecture knowledge, right? So just here are what I have to say. And if you miss on something, just wait for a minute. Probably it will get cleared in the next minute. So a pawn can move, a pawn can capture, a pawn can double move. It can also do something called en passant, French. I can't speak French, so my accent is also fake. French accent is also horrible. En passant. You also have something very special called promotion. So a pawn, if it reaches the last square, the last rank of the chessboard, the opponent's rank, then it gets promoted to a bishop or a knight or a rook or a queen, depending on what the player wants it to be promoted. Okay, this is good. This is what it can do. Similarly, can a bishop move? Yes, it can. It moves diagonally. A pawn can also move. So we are starting to see common behaviors. Important to note, common behaviors, not exactly same behaviors. Like you can move, but the bishop moves in a different way. The pawn moves in a different way. Like a dog barks in a different way, and a different kind of dog will bark in a very different way. Okay, so making sound is something that I do along with chimpanzees, but hopefully I sound different. That's the idea. We do the same thing, or rather we do the same action, but in a very different way, and the result is also very different. Okay, so can a bishop capture? Yes, it can. Can it do a double move? No, it can't. Can it do an en passant? No. Can it do a promotion? No. So there are certain behaviors which are specific to the pawn, and certain behaviors which are common with all of these pieces. In fact, the knight can also move and capture, but it doesn't do a double move, it doesn't do en passant, it doesn't do promotion. Okay, pretty important to look at this way. The rook can also do the same 2 things. So there are certain common behaviors, and there are certain special behaviors. A rook is interesting. We'll get to that in a minute. Queen can also do the same thing. Queen can move and capture. There's nothing else that she can do. She can just move or capture a piece, which is to some extent just a function of moving. You can move into an enemy opponent's square, and the enemy opponent is removed. Okay. Finally, the king. A king can move. A king can capture. What else can it do? A king can also castle. Okay. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. A king can castle. A king can't do anything else. Yeah. I missed one thing that all of these pieces can do, and that is called check. They can check the king. But if you do that, you can make the argument that it's just a part of move. So a pawn can move, maybe that move is a capture. I'm just getting rid of this. And maybe that move results in a check to the opponent's king. Okay. Pretty simple, standard stuff that's happening till now. This is the special move. This is a special move, and these two are also special moves. Okay. Does it make sense till now? Do I have your vote of confidence? Please answer on the Slido link. If there are any doubts, then you can just put it on the Q&A. And if you see a doubt which you think is something that you also have, please upvote it. Okay, 12 people, 100% makes total sense. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Someone is saying that no, it's not making sense. You can post your question in the Q&A, please. Yeah, please post your questions in the Q&A. Which part didn't make sense? What do you have a doubt on? Okay. Okay. So now what do we do then? What we have done is we have taken one behavior, which is move, common to all pieces, and extracted that. And we have taken some special behaviors and extracted that. Even now, though, the move behavior will be different in pawn, will be different in bishop, will be different in rook, will be different in knight, will be different in queen, will be different in king. That's a problem. Because like we said, a move can result in capture. A move should not result in check to your own king. Okay, it can check enemy king, right? And there's also something like, is this a valid move? So for different pieces, you have different types of valid moves. Okay, great. So also taking one step back, you can move to a particular square. Sure. You can do a double move. These are all setting. These are all doing actions. There's another kind of method that you want to expose in these pieces, and that would be get all possible moves. Why is this important? Because it's going to tell you the set of valid moves that you can make from this piece. Like I said, you should be able to play chess with this app. So you're making an app which can play chess. For that, you need to be able to know what moves are valid. And the logic for that can be put in valid move. And get all possible moves will give you the set of moves that you can play. It's going to give you a list of moves. Okay. So we are seeing that in one move, there's quite a few things which are common. And check enemy king. I'll write this neatly because when you write things neatly, the other person understands better. So remember that in an interview, you're not trying to explain it to yourself, you're actually trying to explain it to the interviewer. So let's write it neatly. Okay. What are the things which are common? Capture is common. You can capture things. That's a common thing. You can. You should not result. This should not result in a check for your own king, and you can check the enemy king. These are three things which are allowed. Okay. Valid move changes for every single piece. This also makes sense. So when you're moving away, if you're moving away and it's going to result in a check, that won't be allowed. That won't be a valid move. If you are going to capture another piece, then that piece will be removed. Okay. And you can check the enemy king also. So if your move results in a check for the enemy king, that should be noted. Okay. Whether it is a valid move or not, it depends on the kind of piece that you're using. All right. Some of you might be thinking I'm going slow, but once we start writing the code, you'll get scared. Okay. So the way I would suggest you to go ahead in the low-level design interviews, you have some things noted down. Keep them on the side. Like just keep them in your line of sight, so that you can refer to them when you want to. Okay, especially when you're writing code, this is helpful. So what's the first thing that we need to do? We need to define classes for the different types of objects. So there's public class chess. You have a class for pawn. Notice that I don't forcefully, do inheritance. That there is a piece. The piece has a behavior move. The piece has a behavior X, Y, Z. I'm seeing if it naturally comes up. If it doesn't come up, there's no problem. Okay. So class pawn, class king, class queen. In a real interview, this will be much easier for you because you'll be having it in a different screen. This stuff. So I'll also put it in a different screen and I'll just refer to it, so that life is easy for me and I save your time. King, queen, knight, we have a bishop, we have a rook. I think that's it. 3 types of pieces here, and the pawn, the king, and the queen. Okay, great. What did we say? We said that all of these pieces have something in common, which is move and get all possible moves. So inheritance, no. Let's not jump there. Let's actually define the things which are uncommon. So a king can castle. Why am I not jumping? Why am I not jumping to a an inheritance kind of approach? The problem with inheritance or composition is that once you make a commitment, you can be wrong, and once you're wrong, you have to backtrack a bit. So it's best to do this on the whiteboard. Think it through on the whiteboard before you jump into code. So that's what we will do. Okay. Certain things cannot be avoided though. So the king can castle. The logic for this is complex and therefore highly unlikely to be asked in a low-level design interview. Okay, they are not looking, like I said, at your production deployability skills. They are looking at your problem-solving skills, and they are looking at how good are you at breaking down software problems into real software. Okay, so fine. You can castle. The pawn has certain things that it can do. It can do a. My favorite thing is en passant. Okay, you can also do this thing, which is a double move. Yeah, a promotion. Okay. Now, some of you might be thinking, why don't I keep a boolean that whether it has moved or something, so that the double move can be avoided if the pawn has already moved. Don't need to keep that. Looking at the current position of the pawn, you can make that decision. If it's in the starting square, it's obviously not moved. It can't move back, right? So undoing a move for a pawn is kind of impossible in the game. You can't come back to the same square as a pawn. So, okay. These are two things which are standing out. Now let's talk about moving. So, two approaches. One of them is to use a piece and then make everything extend this piece. Or I say pawn has a piece inside it. Okay. So inheritance versus composition. Let's try to see what fits better through the board. Now look at this. You have a couple of methods which internally have certain behaviors which have to be extended, or which have to be present in all the pieces, right, of chess. So when you're talking about inheritance, what we'll be talking about is pawn is a piece, rook is a piece, and if a piece can move, a rook can also move. If a piece can move, a king can also move. That's one way to think of things. The other one, which is composition, and I'll just write this down so that it's easier to remember. Inheritance is basically telling you rook is a piece. Okay. So all the behaviors of a piece are extended by a rook, and a pawn is also a piece. Composition is slightly different. It says a pawn has a piece, or has something which gives it the characteristics which allows it to move, okay, which allows it to capture, which allows it to check an enemy king. So has a relation. Slightly different. An animal has teeth. Okay, an animal is a biter. Different. Why is this? How does this matter? Like, why does this matter at all? Because the way you think is the way in which you'll speak, and the way you speak to the computer is the way in which you'll write code. Okay, so if you speak in a particular way to a computer, and tomorrow the reality changes and you have to speak in a particular way to change your code to match that reality, then it's important that you use precise language and you use the right form, the right model of thinking. Okay, it does seem like we are splitting hairs here, but moving forward, it helps a lot. And the more you practice with these kind of software engineering principles, the faster you'll be at solving these kind of problems, and also the better you'll be at interviews and also as a software engineer. Okay, so in my personal opinion, I think a rook is a piece. Okay, much more than a rook has a capability to move. Okay, a rook has legs. Like, yeah, you can think of it that way also. Sure, a rook has a sword by which it goes and stabs other people, kills people. Okay, I'm not thinking like that. A piece can capture, a piece can check the enemy king, a piece can move in a way such that it results in a check for the enemy king. So it can't actually, so it has a bunch of valid moves. It takes care of that, and it can move to one place. So that's how I'm thinking. So now that I've thought this through on this whiteboard where things are easier to see, I can jump to the code again. Like, you're seeing what I'm doing. I'm not staying with the code and writing code and thinking at the same time. I'm thinking and then I'm writing code. So even now, I started at 7:20. It's just been 25 minutes, and we have already written down the classes at a high level, and we have decided on inheritance. So class piece. Okay. Would this be an interface? Would this be an abstract class? Because it has multiple abstract methods, I'll just call it an interface, and I'll say it can move. Right? It can also get all possible moves. So that's now we are seeing certain behaviors are common inside a move also, right? If you capture, then you do a certain kind of thing. If you um, if you check the king, then there's a certain alarm that has to be fired. So maybe I'll make it an abstract class. So I'll take some of the behaviors and make them common. Make this an abstract method. Okay, some of us in the comments are saying piece has a pawn. Piece does not have a pawn. Like my skeleton does not have me. I have my skeleton. So is how I would put it. Like I can use my skeleton. I can use it for having a structure, for moving around, for walking about. Yeah. Okay. Like wide move. I can capture pieces, right? So let's say there is a position from where I'm making a move. So position start, and I'm going to a position. So position end. So there's a class called position. I'm going to be moving from a position to a position. So okay, if is valid. Okay, I'm just checking if the move is valid here. If this is a valid move, so I'm going to be passing. Every piece should have a type, I think. Like, what type of piece are you? That's actually crazy. No, then there's no point of inheritance. So, is valid should say what type of piece am I, and then if I'm a pawn, then I'm allowed to move only one square forward, and if required, I can move 2 squares forward also if I'm in the starting position. So, is valid start, comma end. If this is true, then I'm allowed to make the move. So, okay. Instead of saying start, I should have a current position also. So, position, current position. Right. So from the start position to destination. Now you're also seeing that I'm able to type really fast. Not because I have very good typing skills. It's basically this IDE which I'm using. So in an interview, if you get the opportunity to use an IDE, do use it. It helps. Okay, is valid current position? Yeah, if this is valid, then do make the move. So I'll change my current position to the destination. Okay, what have I done? I've just abstracted this valid position, is valid method. Okay, and then I make the move. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If the enemy king is in check, that's what I need to see. In fact, is valid is also something which is quite interesting. Because there are certain things which make a move totally invalid. If current king in check, and then return false. Else return. Again, I took a common behavior, which is if your current king is in check, then you're not allowed to move from your start position to this end position. Okay, so is current king in check? This has to be this can be a proper method, right? What we need to pass in here is current king in check is basically if I move to the end position and I go out of the start position, do I get a check? Okay, so what I can do is I can say, there's a concept of a board, and this is a temporary board. So this is the chessboard. Okay. In fact, yeah. Now in this temporary board, I want to make the move. Right. So you make the move and go to the end position. Once this is done, pass this in and see if the current king is in check. What I did is, instead of checking whether the king will be in check, I made the move, and now I'm seeing if the king is in check. If the king is in check, then this is not a valid move. Please go back. So it's a temporary board that I've made, and for that I need a class board. Okay, and then you can make move in a board. So you can make a move in the sense you can take a piece and you can move it to a destination. So over here, I just need to say, yeah. Now, is valid move is what we need. I'm simplifying more and more. I'm actually taking away the parts which are common, and I'm just abstracting out the parts which are uncommon. So is valid is different for everybody else. Okay. If this resulted in a check for the current king, I would not allow it. Again, coming back to the board, all possible moves. No, this is not it. Capture. Okay, is it a capture? That's another thing. So I'll just go there. If the destination had something already there. So if maybe board. So how do I actually find the current board? There needs to be some sort of a pointer. I'm keeping a pointer to the current board in the piece itself. So from a piece, I can tell that it belongs to this board. Give me the board. It will be a one reference thing. So if current board dot in this destination position, so it's going to give me a piece. If this is not null, return me a piece, and it returns null usually. If there is a piece, then it's going to return me something over there. So maybe I can have a map of position to piece pieces. Okay, and now all it needs to do is it just needs to say pieces.get. Yeah. Also, make move is then going to take pieces, remove it from its current position. So and add it to the next position. So put pieces. Okay. Put piece destination. I'm going to put in this piece over there. Okay. Most of you might have dropped off by now because this is intense coding going on here. But those of you who are still there and who are like interested in low-level design interviews, this is what's happening. What's happening is we are taking a high-level diagram of what we will be working on. We then decided on what parts of these classes can be put together, can be made common, what parts are exceptional. Even in the common parts, what are the things which can be defined in a common way, like capturing checks, those kind of things. Then we decide on inheritance versus composition, and finally we are actually writing the code. So a lot of the code is coming out smoothly because we are taking a principle based approach. So okay, pieces, this is good. You're able to make moves now in the board. We now can go back and see whether the destination was not null, and also and this thing can be called destination piece. In fact, you can't capture your own piece, so maybe is valid should have that. So this thing over here is valid is also going to be seeing if your end position is going to capture your own piece. So if destination piece exists and the destination piece dot get color is the same as your color, then please it's false. You can't capture your own piece. That's what I'm doing over here. Okay, so get color is a property in piece. This is going to be, let's say, a string. You can make an enum out of it. So actually, I'll do that. You can set color also. I think color is going to be final, so let's not go there. Class color. This is white or black. I'm not going for the wooden chess pieces which are dark blue or rather dark brown and light brown. So white or black, of course. So this is what we have. I think I'll also say equals here. Okay. Now king is in check. If the king is in check, then just return false. How do I check if the king is in check? Right now it is return false. This is going to be a complex piece of logic, so it's best to clarify with your interviewer. I'm almost sure that this will not be something that they'll ask you to code, but if they do, then you're basically looking at whether the king can be captured by this piece or can be captured by a piece that you moved out of the way, somebody else can capture your king. That's what you're looking at. Current king in check. I can change this. I can say king in check, and I can mention which color of the king am I talking about. So king in check, comma, color. This will help me because I might check a king also. So over here, king in check, the current color. Okay. Finally, if you're checking the other king, then you need to update that also. It's going to be very similar to this. You basically need to tell the other opponent that you are in check, and therefore you can make only a set of moves. Is valid also needs to check whether your king is in check already, actually, because if your king is in check, then you can only block the check. That's all. That's all you can do with this piece, or capture the piece which is checking. Okay. All right. So at a high level, this is what we have. I'll just zoom out to give you a good idea of what we have done here. What we have done is, let me just see if this is actually even compiling. Destination piece. Okay, I was actually coding while I just lost focus here. So if the destination piece is not null and the destination piece dot get color is not equal to color, then this is a capture. Okay. What are some of the lessons that we can pick out of this? At a high level, we have all the classes that we need to build a chess engine. Okay. We also have abstracted out as much as we possibly can the logic that is common to all of these classes, which is moving or getting all possible moves. Even after doing that, we have found some common things that we can use in moving also, like just checking if the move is valid and so on. And so at this point, I think it is sufficient to explain to the interviewer that for a chess design, this is what I'll be doing. This is how I'll be approaching the problem. And I think you'll be fine with this. Okay. This is good enough for an interview. If you want to see how this actually happens like a real chess engine, I'll just show you my own code. I have written a chess engine actually. I'll just share it with you. Although this is not relevant to interviews, so you might find it useless. But if you want to know how a real chess engine works with test cases and everything, and it actually works. Okay, it actually plays chess, and it will most likely beat you. So it beats me, I think. So it has a good chance to beat you. Okay, this is how a real chess engine would be like. It takes care of every single possible move, and the way I did this is by testing it. But coming back to the real world, where this is more of an interview problem, what you want to do in a low-level design interview is you want to note down what are the classes or components that you'll have in this system. Then you want to know what are the behaviors of those classes, right? It's not always going to be that you'll see a lot of common behaviors. You just have to note the behaviors of these classes. Then you want to find a particular strategy or particular way in which you want to, write the code. So in this case, the major question was, are you going to use inheritance or are you going to use composition? But that's not always the case. Like in low-level design of splitwise, the major question is how are you going to implement the algorithm of splitwise in an efficient manner. Okay, so this is chess. Again, going back to low-level design, yeah. So how do you simplify the balancing algorithm? Okay, so it was more of an algorithm-based question here, and that the one that we solved, chess, that is more of a software-based question. Okay, here also you need to show your software skills, but there you need to show it even more. You're breaking components. Awesome. Capitan Empanada. Yes, I'm very sorry with names. I'm sorry for that. You're one of my inspirations about system design. Good luck and thanks for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Capitan. Superb. It's great to talk to you. If king is in check, there is a possibility for the piece to move if it prevents the check. It's a nice profile picture, by the way. If king is in check, there's a possibility for the piece to move if it prevents the check. Yes, absolutely. So if your king is in check, I'm not stopping that. If you see the code, I'm actually not stopping that. I'm seeing that if you move and your king is in check, that's an illegal move. Okay, in the board, over here, what I'm doing is I'm saying that, okay, you want to move to this end position. Let's take the current board. Let's make the move first and then see if you're in check. If you're in check, if your current king is in check, then this is not a legal move. Okay. Yeah, this is what we have. This is great. Let me again go back to the audience Q&A. I'll take a couple of questions before we end this live stream. What do you use for sketching, designing? This is mouse, not possible, I guess. Yeah, of course, it's not possible with the mouse. I use Microsoft Whiteboard for drawing. I think I just showed you my background, which is also quite nice. I use Microsoft Whiteboard, and I use this stylus over here. So the hardware I have is Wacom, and the stylus draws really well, and the software I have is Microsoft Whiteboard. Okay, if you have any questions, guys, this is your chance. This is a good chance to post questions. Also, if you're looking for an interesting discount, I think Welcome 25 is what we have going on at InterviewReady. Good place to learn system design. Since most of YouTube's LLD explanations in Java plus Spring Boot, any good source to start learning Java plus Spring Boot? I don't know, actually. There must be some channel which handles this. Yeah. But even if you know C++ or you know Python, I think most of these things can be guessed. Like, it's language agnostic, right? I didn't use any data structure which is specific to Java, except maybe a hash map. But a hash map is there in so many languages. Okay. Machine coding rounds expect good object-oriented design as well. How to learn? I have spoken about this. Refactoring Guru is one of the websites that I would suggest. Go for it. I will share the link in the description again. So let me just see if that works. Yeah, Refactoring Guru is working. Perfect. Machine coding rounds is good. Can you refer any books to learn low-level design? I don't know of any books to learn low-level design. I mean, I can tell you for design patterns, but low-level design, not yet. No. Always have been a functional programmer. Any tips for LLD? I think everyone expects object-oriented programming principles. You can educate the interviewer also. You can tell them that, you know, in functional programming, this is what we do. I'm currying the function. It's going to be interesting because the interviewer usually is very open to new technical approaches to the same problem. And it's just a different conceptual way of thinking. So it's not like the interviewer cannot understand. The more you explain, the better it will be. What is generally expected to be asked in a SD2 interview for mobile development for HLD rounds? Detailed answer, just go to InterviewReady. You have a high-level design round, then yeah, InterviewReady handles that super well. You have a machine coding design round, super well again, InterviewReady. If your fundamentals are not strong, we have 5 detailed chapters on InterviewReady, and then we have a huge section also of all the YouTube videos put there ad-free and with quiz and with summaries, PDF downloadable summaries. It's a no-brainer. Go for InterviewReady. Yeah. If you're talking about mobile engineering only, right, you're going to design an Android app, don't go for InterviewReady. If you're talking about high-level design, low-level design, or fundamentals, I have built the course for that. So that is the perfect place to be. What is your view on Golang in LLD instead of Java or other OOPS language? Golang is also fine. Yeah, there are quite a few concepts in Golang also that you can bring in. Sure. What if I'm not very good at, like in Golang you have the concept of, I think you have channels. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, channels is something which is pretty big that you can explain to the interviewer. Again, it's quite useful if you understand a language deeply. Okay, what if I'm not very good at chess myself and I draw poorly? If you are not very good at chess, that is totally fine. You can ask the interviewer that, hey, you know, there are certain rules that I don't understand. Or if you don't understand chess at all, just change the question. Because some of this is specific to chess. If you're drawing poorly, there is nobody to blame except ourselves, right? Because it's like my handwriting is bad, or I speak too fast, or I say anything I want. Like, the problem is you're explaining something to the person in front, which is also true in team discussions. So it's important that you give them the time that they deserve and the respect that they deserve. Like I'm doing right now, I'm giving you my time. I can rush through and say, yeah, all this is easy. Don't do that, right? An interviewer also deserves your respect. Draw nicely. Redraw if required. Trust me, 5 seconds more is not going to hurt you in the long run. Okay, I just got 200 rupees from Neeraj Gupta. Thank you so much for that. This is amazing. If one object is composed of another object, i.e. board has a list of cells, okay, then inside the board class, if we want to call method of cell class, can I call it directly or do we need to have an interface in between? So it depends on where you're calling the class from. I'll give you an example, and in fact, let's just show that in code. Someone else has also commented the same thing. Shouldn't the board be a bunch of cells? So where is the board? Yeah, here's the board. Right, I have taken it as a map of pieces. Instead, let's say I have this, an 8x8 matrix of cells. Define a cell. By the way, this is the place where you should probably be using a singleton pattern, because you don't want to recreate the board multiple times. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to have only one board, so that is taken care of. The question is, you have a bunch of cells, and let's say you want to call one of these cells. So should you have a public function saying access cell? Okay, from what I understood of the question, you want to access cell and you probably want to pass in int x, and I'm just showing the concept, right? So there's an int val, and I can say integer x or row int call and piece. Yeah, I want to set the piece there. So now one of the things I can do is I can say, okay, here's a public method where set piece is this way. So cells row call equal to piece. Okay, actually this is okay. So I can let's just assume that you can set a piece for a cell. Okay, this is one way to do things. This is a public method where I'm passing in the row and the column and the piece. The other way to do it is to give a public method get cell, and here you pass in just the row and the column. Okay, and you return this. You return the cell. So the person calling this method and then set the piece themselves. Okay, which one is better? It depends on what kind of contract do you want to expose and what makes your code easier to understand also, but primarily on what kind of contract do you want to expose. Should a board allow the cells inside it to be manipulated by outside parties? In my personal opinion, no. Is there any time that you want a cell from a board to go out and then be manipulated in any way it likes to be? No. So anything that happens inside the board, inside those cells, is the responsibility of the board. So I would have this function publicly exposed, which would allow you to set a piece, but it would go through the board. At any point, if I need validations, I'll add validations here. I will not allow them to take a cell and do what they want. I'll not allow them to set a piece of a cell themselves. So I would suggest method number 1. Okay, Neerav, that's a good question. Thank you. While bishops move on white cells and black bishops on black cells, how to handle that in the structure you demonstrated? You just need to see your starting position, right? You're never going to, your current position will tell you the color of the cell. So actually that's one thing that we can have in cell. We can have color, black or white. So if your starting position is something and mathematically you see that it is meeting the diagonal of this bishop, you don't need to worry about color. The color will be taken care of by itself. So int val, no, I have have a color. Okay. I'm 10 years experience still. Before design interviews, I find it difficult to pass DS and Algo. How to improve on that? You'll have to practice. Yeah, the best way to do it is to practice. Okay, this is the question which we answered. If one object is composed of another, like demonstrated over here, board has a list of cells. If we want to call a method in the cell class, can we call it directly? I would not suggest that. Or do we need to have an interface in between? I would suggest a method in between. Yes. Okay. Do we have to know this as a fresher, or CPDSA is enough? You don't need to know this as, actually you do. Yeah. Simply put, yeah, you do. As a fresher, yeah, low-level design is a thing. So you should. Can you kindly explain castle and ampersand? No, these are chess rules. You don't really need to know about it. But yeah, if you want to, you can read up about it. Why is board not a matrix? I just changed it now. But what I was trying to do is, I was not trying to look too deep into the state and the behaviors of things which didn't matter much. I was looking at a high level, breaking down the classes and components. If you go deep into it, yes, absolutely, you need to do that. In fact, like I said, GitHub, this is an actual chess engine. So whatever you see here will be very accurate. Let's say pieces, right? Or game has a board. So you'll see a board is much more complicated than you would think initially. I have also used optimizations like Zobrist hash, yeah, whatever. There's player pieces, there's moves, there's guards. Which piece is guarding which piece? Okay, all of this is required if you really want to make it efficient. You want a real chess engine, but it's not practical if you're looking at a interview-based, solution to the question. Yeah, okay, this is pretty good. Okay, is there any boilerplate skeleton to start any LD like creating? I'm working on that. Is there any work on InterviewReady to publish lectures regarding design patterns 12 to 13? We are working on low-level design, questions. So stay tuned. That's amazing that you asked that question and help me promote it. You haven't talked about board. Yeah, maybe earlier we hadn't. Yeah, this is 40 minutes ago. Lesson chess is tough. Please take live classes daily. No, that's not possible. But if you want regular Zoom classes, like twice a month, we have that at InterviewReady. You can sign up. Difference between your YouTube system design and a paid one. What benefit does it serve? The YouTube system design videos are excellent. Okay, in terms of content quality, you will not see any difference or much difference. Little difference will be there. Yeah, obviously it's paid, so I have, the editing effort and all that is even higher than usual. But in terms of quality, there's not that big a difference. What is the major difference is you have supplementary things also going with it. You have quiz, you have 2 times in a month Zoom classes, which is live, so you can ask your doubts over there, and this goes in a little more depth, right? The course contents, they're in a little more depth because you can afford to go in a little more depth. You are not bound by the YouTube algorithm. I don't need to teach you or explain to you every time what a gateway is. Over here, I'm expecting you're going in sequence and you're basically come here to study. You don't have an ad over here on the right, or you don't have a random video over there to catch your attention. So this is the place where you study. So if you have like 3 months, or it won't take you that long to study this, basically 2 weeks, you should be able to finish this easily. Okay, but yeah, if you have 2 weeks for your interview, for your system design interview, this is the place you want to come and study. On YouTube also, it's good, but if you can afford to save some time of yourself, why not? That's the difference. I'm going to take this clip and put it out there and put it in an ad. Like, this is the difference between YouTube videos and InterviewReady. Do we need to walk through the interviewer before the design pattern that we're using? You don't need to walk them through it. It's a technical term, the design pattern. So they should know about it. If they don't, then you can explain it. They might also pretend to be dumb, or they might genuinely not know. So yeah, then you can explain. If we are struck identifying different entities in an LLD interview, what are the aspects of a candidate is accessed in the LLD interview? I've spoken about this initially, so you can head back to the video. I'll timestamp those parts. That will help you. Can we implement LLD practices in React and Node.js? If yes, is it similar to Java? Look, I've seen some code in Node.js. Yes, it is possible for this kind of LLD to be taken care of even in Node.js. Okay, you're primarily looking at how are you going to write the code in a way which is easy to read and easy to maintain. Prithvi here, thanks for the live. What could be the thought process of designing the system efficiently? One of the things that you can say is, am I creating too many objects? When it comes to low-level design, am I creating too many objects? Are these going to be network calls? What's it like? Those are the efficiency considerations you have in a low-level design interview. Thanks for the discount. I have an interview next. Okay, Gautam. Yeah, that's suspicious cuffs coming. Thanks for the discount. I have an interview next week. First time after 15 years facing any interview. Oh my God. Okay, that's interesting. That is on a refactoring existing app with new requirement. Okay, that's interesting. Do mention if this is relevant that the test cases that you'll be writing before you refactor an app, because practically speaking, that's what happens. You first write some test cases. You make sure that your new code is going to not break the old expectations. So one tip there, and the other tip that you can take is whenever you're refactoring, you want to go for the dirtiest piece of code that you have, and you don't want to jump into the code. You want to actually design it, you want to draw it, and then do it. Okay, so I'm always wearing the same InterviewReady t-shirt. Wow. So here also I'm wearing InterviewReady. This is my blood now. Okay, thanks for the discount, guys. If you're looking for the discount, I'll just leave you with this. It's welcome 25. Okay, yeah. Can we use an ID of our choice during the LLD interview? Yeah, just ask the interviewer. Like in companies like Google and all, they say no. You have to use a doc. You have to use Google Docs. Everyone has their own thing. It's all right. It's okay. Okay, I'll take this last question. I'm getting server error when I log in with Gmail to purchase. Oh my God. Okay, I'll look into this. Thank you for that, Anonymous. Server error when you're logging in with Gmail. If someone else also tries that, that'll be super helpful. I'll just test that to purchase, right? So I need a Gmail account where I'm not purchased. So I'll test that. Good stuff. Which tool is better for system design? Okay, let me just see if there is any other question, which is, what is the coupon code? Can you say once more? Yes, it is welcome 25. If you're joining InterviewReady today, welcome. The next class is on 4th of September, 9 p.m. That's basically the exclusive class at InterviewReady. I'll catch you there. And also we often have live streams. So if you're more into YouTube, I can catch you here also. Yeah, superb. If you're looking for system design interviews, InterviewReady is the place. And if you're looking for low-level design interviews, this video is a good introduction. If you're looking for machine coding interviews or more intense low-level design interviews, InterviewReady has those videos. I'll see you next time, and all the best. Have a great weekend coming up. See you. Bye-bye.